This week's episode features ST Biological's Attest. Attest is a copper-based plant growth nutrient formulated for row crops. Its proprietary delivery system helps transport copper throughout plant vascular tissue. Visit stbiologicals.com to learn more about this and other regenerative ag products. Hello and welcome to the ST Biologicals Soil Speaks podcast. This week, we'll take a closer look at copper, an essential micronutrient. Let's get started. Micronutrients are essential for plant health and high nutritional profiles. The macronutrients, NPK, can make a field look good, but micronutrients give plants resilience. In our ever-changing normal, resilience is key to successful farming. Copper is one of the 8 essential plant micronutrients. Boron, chlorine, iron, manganese, molybdenum, zinc, nickel, and copper are necessary for optimum plant health. None of these elements is needed in large amounts. And under certain soil conditions, many of these micronutrients will bond with each other to create multiple deficiencies. Soils naturally contain copper, but the soil pH amount of organic matter and the presence of iron and aluminum oxides determine the plant available copper. Proteins, photosynthesis, cell wall structure, and even plant hormonal signaling are all affected by the deficiency, optimum, or excess amount of copper. Zinc and nitrogen availability are both tied to an optimum amount of copper as plant available ions. Excess nitrogen fertilizer on your fields will lead to the binding of copper ions to nitrogen ions, so neither will be optimally available as plant nutrients. We're always worrying about the leaching of nutrients from our croplands. That's not a worry with copper. In fact, copper doesn't even move readily through a plant. It tends to be more abundant in the roots and the base of the plant. Plants have evolved specific pathways and micronutrient ions that move copper through the plant to where it's needed. Copper naturally occurs in soil as positively charged Cu2 plus ions. These ions bind tightly with negatively charged organic matter and other soil minerals. That means copper sticks around in your soil for years. The good news is that if you have a copper deficiency, it can probably be fixed in 1 year. The bad news is that if you have a copper excess, it'll take several years to fix. An excess of copper not only impacts your crops, but also impacts soil microbial communities and earthworms, both allies in creating greater crop resilience. Plants need copper, but there are fine lines between deficient, optimal, and excessive levels of copper. Plant physiochemical processes are complex. The qualities that make copper needed can also be toxic. For example, copper has redox properties that are essential for plant health and also play roles in the creation of toxic free radicals. Incredibly, plants have developed homeostatic mechanisms to get the proper amount of each micro and macronutrient in many environmental conditions. Nature creates balance when our farming practices align with the needs of the soil and our crops. Farming that incorporates regenerative ag practices are less likely to have any micronutrient deficiencies or excesses, including copper. That dreaded hidden hunger for micronutrients can be the cause of lower yields or decreased nutrient profiles in your crops. A deficiency of copper, as well as other micronutrients, means your plants will be more susceptible to disease and less resilient. On the other hand, excess copper in your soil will reduce the absorption of water and other mineral elements by your crops. Again, this makes your crops less resilient. The first step in determining the copper level in your soil is to have your soil tested. You can even test soil in the middle of winter, as long as it's not frozen solid. You should use all available tools to monitor micronutrient availability in your fields. Scouting for visible signs of plant stress, soil tests, yield maps, and just looking at weather over time are all valuable for assessing field and plant health. Our team of certified crop consultants at ST Biologicals uses the Haney and PFLA soil tests. If a copper deficiency is detected, we recommend Attest as an effective foliar spray. It helps increase copper as a catalyst for photosynthesis and plant respiration. Foliar application transports copper through the vascular tissue of the plant. Attest gets copper in the right amount, at the right time, in the right place. At ST Biologicals, we understand the thin line between just the right amount of nutrients and too much of a good thing. To learn more about how copper affects plant health, visit stbiologicals.com. When soil speaks, we listen. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.